Hi, hello. I'm in a ranting mood, specifically about this show and specifically about a character, so just be prepared. I've been watching Apply 1988 for a little while now. I have about 7 episodes left. I'm on episode 13. There's 20 episodes. I still really like it. I know I talked about it, I think, in my last video. I'm gonna be honest, I can't really remember exactly what I said. But my biggest issue with this show, herein lies with the main romantic ship, if you will. So that's between Deoksun and Jung-Hwan. So her one of her childhood best friends. It's the kind of where nothing ever technically happens between them. There's never a confession that's made. And so nothing comes of it, and she ends up with a different character, which that's, again, I like who she ends up with way more because of what Jung-Hwan does through most of the show. He is the definitive example of fumbling the bag. He had so many opportunities to tell Deoksun that he liked her. He had so many opportunities, and he just couldn't get the courage. And I think it's supposed to be the whole unrequited, he could just never confess. He just, for whatever reason, could never do it. Couldn't gather the courage, whatever his reasons were. Didn't want to hurt the other friend because he knew the other friend liked her. Ironically, the one that actually does end up with her also liked her around the same time. Whatever. He was still a better option, though, because he literally told her and actually pursued her. Because here's what I don't like. I don't like it in shows when there's a character who just never will, they'll just never get to the point of confessing. Whatever the reason is, they just never do. And then you, as the audience, are kind of supposed to watch it and be like, man, I feel bad for him. And there's a part of me that does feel bad for him, but there's also a much larger part that's just irritated at the character for the whole show. Because I'm like, if she had shown no interest in any context, she didn't give you signals, she didn't leave an opportunity for you guys to date open, maybe then I could have understood his hesitation. And because specifically at the episode that I'm on right now, Girly has been wanting to spend time with him, wanting to be around him, has been very sweet with him because they had very much a back and forth kind of a bickering relationship. And she hasn't been like that towards him in a while. And it's like, bro, you're the problem. She is giving you all the signals. She is giving you she's ready. If you were to ask her out on a date, if you were to pursue anything, if you were to confess, something might come of it. And what's hard about her character too, though, is her friends had told her that one of her other, because she has 3 or 4 guy friends. One of her it was both of her friends, had told her that he liked her, one of her other friends in her little group. And so then for a while she was liked him. And it was does she like him because she likes him, or does she like him because she thinks he likes her? And nothing ended up coming of that, and whatever, and it was fine. And she was mad at him for a while, but then got over it, moved on. And it's kind of a similar thing with it feels a little bit similar with Jung-Hwan, where it's the reason that she thinks he likes her is because, again, of something her friends said. But we, obviously, as the audience, also know that he does genuinely like her, so that it actually is what her friends said was true. But the idea is, they planted that idea in her head. So does she genuinely like him, or does she just like him because she thinks he likes her? And I mean, he does like her. But she doesn't have that as a confirmation, technically. He's never actually said it. And he doesn't really act on it either. And he avoids her a lot, and he's always dipping out on these chances. And I'm like, bro, this is your own fault. And that's why I kind of don't feel bad for him, because I think you're kind of I think there's a part of you that's probably supposed to sympathize with him. And I do, but at this point in the show, at episode 13, of him liking her for I don't know how long, and he just won't do anything about it, I'm just like, I don't really feel bad for you, because you can't be man enough to confess, and it's annoying. And I just feel like it's this very how do I explain it? It's very it's very low standard, bare minimum, for a guy, because it's okay, he likes you, okay, he wants to be with you, but he can't get, I don't know, and I don't know if it's supposed to be he's nervous, or because he knows that his other friend likes her, if he doesn't want to ruin that and he just doesn't know where to go, or if he just doesn't care enough to or if it's a pride thing. Like, he's just too prideful to, like, confess to her. Because it's also annoying me, and that's why it makes me genuinely so happy that she doesn't end up with him. Because I'm like, a girl, any person, though, should never have to settle for someone who can't bring themselves to tell them you like them. Because there's this whole, like, iconic scene at the end of the show when he finally does, technically, like, he does confess, but he does it, and I've talked about this, he does it apparently in a way that's, like, he says everything that he always wanted to say, but he says it, I guess, in a way that's like nothing will come of him telling her, and nothing does come of it because she's already with, I think, with the other guy at that point. And it was just like his way of just like, he just needed to like say it. But the thing is, it's like, you should never have to settle for someone who can't, like I said, bother to tell you how they feel. And yeah, he eventually confesses, but it takes him so long that it's like, your own fault, buddy. Like, it's your own fault. You should have tried harder. And it's like, oh, I remember, I lost my train of thought where I was going with that. The reason I brought that up was because in that little speech of like him confessing, he says stuff like, or he says it at some point in the show, I don't know exactly when, if it's right then or a different time, but he basically is like, you know, I would always wait for you for the bus. I would get up early and just wait outside my door and wait for you to come out. And then when we went to this one concert, and then when there was this other thing of, he was always staying up late when she was out studying. He would like stay up late and wait till she got home, because where they live is like, he lives in this house right here and she lives in like a semi-basement underneath. So they kind of live in like the same technically like building, like one big house, if you will. One's like a basement and they live in the basement, and then he lives up in the upstairs kind of. Anyways, so it's like they're very close like together. But it's like, here's my issue with his whole like impassioned speech, whatever, is I'm like, but you didn't do anything about it, and you were low-key mean to her and didn't reciprocate. Because I hate when a character, like, it's kind of, because they kind of have that like grumpy sunshine dynamic. I hate when a grumpy character ends up with a sunshine character, but there's not enough like him showing the sunshine character that he cares about her more, if not like that he cares about her, and then, as I said, that he cares about her more than she cares about him. Because it's like, it just feels like such a low standard to just be like, well, he likes her. Yeah, well, he was also literally mean to her all the freaking time. And like, she was also just like always like, they kind of just had that like squabbling relationship. But it's like, at the end of the day, he was kind of just always mean to her. And yeah, suddenly he one day realizes he likes her, but he can't be a man enough to say it. It's just annoying. It's just annoying. I don't like that kind of dynamic, and because of that, I'm glad that she doesn't end up with him. If they had kind of a bickering friendship, or like a grumpy sunshine, but it was shown down the line that he cared more about her and was super into her and really, really liked her, and he made up for all the times that there was like him being grumpy or just like not being as like nice to her, if he made up for it later in the plot, maybe I'd be okay with it. But a lot of times they don't make up for it, and it just makes the girl look insanely pathetic and like almost like pitiful, because you're like, oh girl, he does not care about you the way you care about him. And that's not a fun dynamic to watch. I don't know why people think anyone wants to see a relationship where one person obviously cares way more than the other, unless it's like the guy cares way more than the girl, but it's not that she doesn't care for him, it's just that he cares so much. And you could, I guess, use the argument of like, oh, well, that's kind of the literal dynamic that you're complaining about. You're literally just contradicting yourself. But it's like, it's different, because it's like, if the guy likes her way more than she likes him, it doesn't feel like the girl's love is necessarily conditional, or is like unconditional. What am I saying? It doesn't feel like her love is like, yeah, it's not conditional. Like, I only like you. Maybe I'm going to stop with my rant, because I'm kind of contradicting myself. I don't know. I just don't like it in a guy and girl relationship when the guy does not care as much as the girl. Sorry. I also don't like it in a relationship when the girl does not care as much as the guy. I don't want to see someone treating the other person badly because they don't care enough and they can't bother to care. I don't like that. I don't like that dynamic. I don't think it's cute. I don't think it's funny. I hate it in whether it's a guy or a girl. It doesn't matter which character is indifferent. I don't usually love that dynamic unless it's done really well and really specific, because I just think otherwise it's just like, okay, well, this is just boring. I don't want to watch two people who obviously, like, one person who obviously cares way more, be way more invested, and then the other person is just like, whatever, you're fine. I'm like, oh, wow, that's romantic. Not. So that's my my issue with that ship and why I'm kind of glad it doesn't happen. My secondary issue with this show is I cannot stand about 90% of the characters. I do not like most of the characters in this show. I think most of the parents are very annoying, very irritating, and I might have talked about that in my first video when I was talking about the parents, because I've gotten to the point in this show, especially because I'm already halfway through the show, that like if there's like a bunch of scenes with the parents, I just skip. I don't care. They're not funny. I don't find them pleasant. They just irritate the heck out of me. The only parent that I like is one of the characters. His name is Sunwoo. I love him so much. He's one of my favorite characters. Him and his mom and his little sister. I love that trio. Great trio. And I really like the character. His name is, I think it's Taek. I don't know exactly how to say it. His dad. I love him, and I love Taek. Oh, I could make a whole separate video about how much I love Taek as a character, and I just love Park Bo-gum like so much. But like, holy cow, I love him in this role. They could not have picked a better actor to play him. Anyways, I really like his dad a lot. And I like Jung-Hwan's dad. I don't like Deoksun's parents really as a whole, and I don't like Jung-Hwan's mom because I think they're all really annoying. And like, obviously, yes, all the characters have moments where they're a little more annoying than others, or they have moments where they kind of redeem themselves a little. But as a whole, I don't really like the parents of most of the characters because I just find them really annoying and not really funny, and I just don't care to watch their scenes. And the other thing with this show is like the episodes are so long that I just don't want to spend the time watching characters I don't care about. I'm watching an hour and a half episode. I just don't want to watch 15 minutes of a dumb like scene that's supposed to be like funny that isn't funny at all. That's the other thing I have with the show is like the show does like to do a lot of really, sorry, my computer's doing stuff. I'm going to do this so that there's a little more light here. There we go. Woo! Woo! I just don't like shows in which there's supposed to be characters that you're like supposed to think are funny and they're not funny at all, and they're actually just really freaking annoying, which I do unfortunately feel like is a lot of this show. As much as I like it, there is a lot of characters that I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so annoying. I like the sister more now, too, of Deoksun's sister, Bura. I didn't like her in the beginning because she was so freaking mean. She was so mean, and she was so annoying, and there was, like, no redeeming quality to her character. She's better now because she's with Sunwoo, who also, again, as I said, oh my gosh, I love him so much, bro. He's so cute, and he's so sweet. And I love Taek as well. That's who Deoksun ends up with. And holy cow, he is so much better than Jung-Hwan. Sorry, but he's so much better than him. Like, he actually, like, he just, when I say that he looks at her with, like, legitimate heart eyes, it is the purest, cutest, sweetest love, and it's just like so genuine. And I like like watching it, I'm so convinced that he actually likes her. Like, he's such a good actor, and the way he looks at her is just the sweetest, kindest, just like gentlest soul. Like, that's just how someone wants to be loved, is just gently. Like, just he just cares so much about her. And there's one thing that I will say that this show also does that kind of confuses me and I don't really understand, is sometimes the show will do little clips of like Deoksun and her husband, right? You're not supposed to know who her husband is because that's like a big part of the show. Is I think the show, when it was airing, made it seem like she was going to end up with Jung-Hwan. And that's why people were so mad, is because they were like, oh my gosh, why didn't they should have ended up together. But I was like, did we watch the same show? Because he's a little punk and he couldn't get his life together and whatever. Sorry, not too much on Jung-Hwan. I don't, as much as I've been like really ragging on the character, I like him. I just hate that I just don't like the way they wrote the character. I just don't like that that's just like the standard and you're just supposed to be like, yeah, they should have ended up together. I'm like, no, they shouldn't have, because he couldn't. Anyways, I completely forgot my train of thought where I was going with that rant. I don't remember, but anyways, love Taek. He's the best. He just actually like shows, I think I was just ranting about him and about how much I love him, because he just shows how he feels, and it's just really refreshing to like watch a character just genuinely like another character, and you just know that he's so fully down for her, and it's like so, it's just refreshing. It's like, thank you for just liking someone and just liking the character. And it doesn't feel like it's a chore for him. Like, and she's kind of like, the thing with Deoksun's character as well is like, oh, I remember I was going with that. They do flash forwards, so it's like it's supposed to be like 2015 when they're doing it. So they've been married for a long time. They're in like their 40s at this point in the show, because the show's supposed to start when they're like 18. Anyway, so it's like years and years later, and it's confusing because the dynamic that she has with her husband in these like flash forwards is very much the dynamic she has with Jung-Hwan. So you would watch the show thinking she's gonna end up with Jung-Hwan, like that's just who she's gonna be with. But it's the fact that it's Taek that's kind of the plot twist. But also what's confusing to me is I'm like, her relationship with Taek when they're teenagers is very different than the relationship we see when she's married, because I know that that's who he is. Like, I know it's not Jung-Hwan. But so I was a little confused by that, because I was like, I don't really understand their dynamic. And I get why fans would watch that show and be so confused, because it's like, oh, well, that's obviously Jung-Hwan. That's who she ended up with. And there's like little other things that make it seem like that's who she ended up with. So it's like, it's not crazy to be like, that's who she was with, right? But it wasn't him. It was the other guy. And so that was confusing, because I was like, I felt like they changed Tak's whole character as an adult. And I'm like, obviously, yes, he can, like, he doesn't have to, like, he doesn't have to have the exact same personality, but it seems odd because the way that he behaves is so much more similar to the other guy than the way that we've seen him for the last 13 episodes, you know? Anyways, he's just a really good character, and I love him so much. And yeah, again, the way he loves, like, the way he just likes her. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And I'm obsessed with it. I'm unfortunately very obsessed with their dynamic. It's just so cute. And it's funny because I'm watching him in another show, and again, I'm obsessed with him in that show as well, because I'm just like, he's so perfect. I love him. Also, just a side part about the show that I also really like is the relationship of, so one of the characters, like I've talked about him a couple times, Sungwoo, he has a younger sister named Jinju, and she's only supposed to be like 3 or 4, like she's little. The little girl is, oh my gosh, she's so cute. But her relationship with all of the friends and all the adults and all the friends, obsessed. It's so cute, because so Jung-Hwan has an older brother, Jung-Bong, and he like frequently watches Jinju for some reason. Like, she's just randomly always at their house, and so he's always watching her, and it's so cute. And her relationship with Sunwoo is the cutest thing I have ever seen. Oh my gosh, the little girl they cast is also like so precious, and I was like, you know, that little girl had such a fun time with all these people, because I'm like, she just gets to be a little kid. Like, she usually doesn't even really talk. She's usually just like sitting, watching a show, or she's like dancing or playing, or she's eating food or something. I was like, I love this kid so much. She's so cute. Anyways, so yeah, there's parts I really like. There's parts I really don't like. I like it about probably around the level I thought I was going to like it. It annoys me more than I thought I probably would have thought, but that's just also, again, because I don't like the way they wrote a lot of the characters, and I just think they're really annoying and kind of disrespectful, and I'm not a fan of how they wrote the people, and I also don't like how they wrote some of the relationships, because I'm like, that's not a healthy relationship at all. Why are we promoting this? Like, why is this the vibe we're going for? But again, that's a whole separate whatever. So anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say. I was watching episode 13. I was getting so annoyed. I was like, I need to talk about this, because it's just, it's like every time I watch an interaction between the two characters too, I'm just like, man, you just could have done that so much better. Like, if you had just manned up and just, because it's like, there's a part of it too where it's like, okay, Deoksun could have said something, but it's like, to be fair, from her perspective, she wasn't really looking at him as like someone she'd want to date. It was because someone else said something, and then she started thinking about him in that light. But that's also why, to me, I'm like, there's this confusing line of like, did she ever actually truly like him? And I feel like at the point that I'm in right now in the show, I would say yes. I would say she has a certain crush on him, because I think it's really hard, as like just in a normal human mindset, to have someone that you know likes you, or at least you think they do, you're pretty convinced of it, and to not be a little bit curious about it in just the slightest bit. Even if you don't like them back, you might just be like, so let me look at you in a slightly different light. And I kind of feel like that's where she is at, but I also kind of do feel like she does kind of just like him in general, because I mean, she was friends with him before, and you know. But again, he just didn't ever do anything. He just fumbled the bag. Sorry, buddy. Okay, anyways, that's all I have to say. Okay, bye. Oh, shoot, I can't turn that. So embarrassing.